Boy, you'd think we're going to be talking about something important today, huh? I'd like to call the October 12th board meeting together. If I could ask everyone to rise so we can do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. So before I call the meeting to order, I just want to remind people, if you saw that we had an executive session today, on Monday, to interview candidates to fill the position vacated by Ron Woodward. As you know, Ron was a wonderful member of our, you lost me there, and we miss him. We had 9 candidates who applied for that position, 9 wonderful candidates. We were here late on Monday, which we don't mind. As a result of the process that we used, the board has like to put forth a motion to make Marilyn Sorensen to fill the position of Ron Woodward. So with that, I'd like to make a motion that Marilyn Sorensen be placed as the board member to fill Ron's position. May I get a second? Any other comments by any members of the board? Again, I want to acknowledge all the people who applied for the position. We had wonderful candidates, so it was really a difficult process. But the good news is that we've got a number of candidates who will apply for the positions that will be open in January, come February. So with that, for board, are there any comments from any member of the community? Good job. Okay. All right. Thank you. Well, of all the candidates, they would all have been good choices. So with that, I'd like to ask for a show of hands, all in favor of having Marilyn Sorensen as the replacement for Ron Woodward. Motion passes. Thank you. So with that, then we'll do the official call to order. Mike, would you do a roll call, please?
Board President Barbara Fugleberg.
Present.
Board Vice President Roberta Ernest.
Here.
Board Secretary Marie Beshen. Here. Board Treasurer Becca Paulson.
Here.
Board of Directors Steve Deal.
Here.
Board of Directors Cindy Evans.
Here.
And Board of Director Marilyn Sorensen.
Here. She's online right now. Can't see her face though. So then, could you do the owner statement, please, Mike?
Homeowner statement period. In person, speaking may speak for no more than 2 minutes. If attending virtually, please mute your audio. Please use the chat option for your questions. Comments should be addressed to concerns of the motion before the board takes formal action on the item under formal discussion on the table. Negative comments directed at residents, employees of the association, or board of directors will not be allowed.
Thank you very much. First thing on the agenda is to approve the board meeting minutes from August 10th, 2023. Can I get a motion?
I so move.
Can I get a second? Any questions from any member of the board regarding the August 10th, 2023 board meeting minutes? Seeing none, any questions, comments from any member of the audience, either present or online? And of the online, I'll be bouncing back and forth to see if there's any comments on there. Seeing none. Seeing none, all in favor of approving the August 10th, 2023 Board of Director meeting minutes, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next thing on the agenda is to get a report from our accountant, Dawn O'Berg. Dawn, you're on.
Good afternoon. As of August 31st, 2023, our cash balances were $1,038,320 in the operating. In the reserve, $3,449,425. Activities, $93,333. Food, $9,131. The clubs, $142,808. And the asset improvement, $915,050.
Thank you. Any questions from any member of the board? Seeing none, any questions from any member of the audience here, either online or in person? Good. Next thing on the agenda is the approval of the May, July, and August financial reports. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
So we have a motion to approve the May, July, and August financial reports. Becca, can you give us a little background on this? Particularly that you've got information regarding percentage.
Yes, I wanted to let everyone know, first of all, the reason June is not included is the audit is being completed for April. I don't know. Did we have May, June, July? Did you say? I don't think you said June. We should have May, June, July, and August.
Okay.
Unless we did May. I didn't think so.
The April one would have been the one that would have gone to the auditor.
Yeah, that one is still pending.
Yeah. Okay.
So May, June, July, and August. Okay.
Mhm.
What I wanted to impart is we have tried to take our excess cash and make sure it's earning some money for us, and it has been invested in various and sundry banks through HomeCo. And I am happy to report that last year our total interest earnings were $50,812. This year, so far through August, we have earned $51,381. So we're going to continue the program. I think it's great that we have a little extra money, however we can get it.
So Becca, was it the April board meeting or the May board meeting, one of them passed, that the board approved you and the budget folks in putting a lot of that money into CDs? So that we got
Yes, yes. The board approved the budget committee to go ahead and invest excess cash. And I've been working very closely with Don to figure out on a regular basis how much cash we feel that we can invest in CDs. We've done CDs in a range from 3 months to a year. We don't want to make it at this point any longer than that because interest rates are going up. So we have kept a lot of them to a fairly low number of months. And HomeCo gives us a list of the interest rates that they're offering, and we try to do our best to get the highest rates that they're offering through their various banks that they work with.
So that's really paid off. So do you, I know I'm asking you this sort of impromptu, didn't ask you before. Do you have a ballpark figure? So right now you said we were only making over $50,000 in interest. Do you have a ballpark number of what it used to be?
I was going to, when I first came on board, I think that year we made, I want to say $1,200, $1,400.
Great job. Thank you for that. Okay. So we have in our board packet the financials for May, July, and August. Are there any questions or comments from any board member regarding those financials? Seeing none. For those of you that are unaware, when we get our monthly reports from Dawn, we get a pretty extensive information as to any variance that might have occurred. So pretty much all of our questions are answered prior to us really getting here. Any questions, comments from any member of the community here about the financials? Come on, you have to come up here. Name, rank, lot number, and you have to dance too.
Hi, my name is Lily Atkinson, lot 1716. I'd like to know, why are you going through HomeCo to invest? Why aren't you looking at other investors?
It's not really HomeCo. HomeCo helps us manage the funds so that we never exceed the $250,000 FDIC insurance coverage for each account that you have. They have access to a number of banks. They just manage our funds. We say, for instance, we want to invest $400,000. They will ensure that they pick 2 banks with the same rates as the numbers that they've given us, so that we don't go over our $250,000 insurance limit.
We have nobody that could do that on the board?
Well,
Why is Homeco doing
HomeCo
that?
gives us access to the Alliance Bank. So it's called Alliance Bank, and Alliance Bank has all these banks underneath them that they can invest money in and get information about which CDs and all that. So it makes it much more convenient to go with that, and we get better rates within that.
Thank you.
So it's not HomeCo that's doing the investing. It's HomeCo giving us access to Alliance Banks, and between Becca and HomeCo, they determine which of those, I don't know how many banks are under Alliance Banks, but I know it's at least quite a few. I want to say 25, I wouldn't be surprised if it's 50. But that way we don't exceed the $250,000 that's in an FDIC account. Good question, thank you, Lily. Any other questions, comments from any member of the community here? Terry?
Yeah, Terry Walters, lot 497. I'm just looking at the April year end, and it says our income year to date was like 3,100. And then you just said something about 50-some thousand. So are you talking from January till now? Or how are you talking now?
On the interest,
Correct.
I'm talking from May 1 through August 31st. That was the interest that was earned.
So for 4 months then, that's when
Yes.
it accrued, because it accrued before then, but we got paid for it then.
Correct.
Thank you.
Anything else from any residents? I'm going to check the chat line. Seeing none. With that, I'll call for the question. All in favor of approving the May, July, and August 2023 financial reports? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Simple. Thank you guys for the questions. We don't have any committee reports. We don't have a report from activities. We have a club update. We just in our board packet, we had a request from Billiards Club. And then when we arrived here today, we received an updated request from the Billiards Club. And I'm not sure if any members of the board have had any time to review that since we've walked in the door. Prices are increased. Hold on. Give me just a second. I'll scan to the right page. So with that, I will move to approve the Billiards Club request to resurface 5 pool tables at the association's expense. And Mike, just a second, I'm sorry. Mike, could you give me what the bottom line here is of the dollars that they're looking for? This is a good report, but I can't see the amount that they're requesting.
So we have 5 different estimates here, looks like from 5 different companies to do the service provided. And we also have Fred here from the Billiards Club, but it looks like Prestige Billiards for 5 tables, $4,750. A1 Billiards for 5 tables, $5,000. Solo Billiards 5 tables is $6,050. The Billiard Factory, $4,250, and Billiard Club 1 table for the cost to the club of $1,200.
Okay. Yes, I did second. Okay. Sorry, I'm just making sure I had a second before we opened it up. Just a second, Fred. Oh, maybe I'll ask Fred first. Fred is the president of the Billiards Club. So Fred, these different vendors that you've looked here, Prestige, A1, Solo Billiards, the Billiards Factory, is there one of those vendors that is your preferred vendor?
It's on, Fred.
Is it on? Okay. Fred Newcomb, by the way, lot 449. I am current president of the Billiards Club, and I'm sorry that this got to you so late. I just got here, so having put this together, I prefer to use the Billiard Factory. they were the ones that we bought the original diamond tables from. A good company, good references, in and out. So I would prefer to use them. He come in at $42.50 for the 5 tables. And if I could stretch that, please, to include a little bit for re-leveling. I'm bad. I forgot to have them include leveling.
Are you
And
dancing
you
on the
know,
tables again, Fred?
pardon?
Are you dancing on the tables again? Are you dancing on the tables again?
You know, I'm not sure. I have seen footprints, uh, you know, leading up to the table maybe, but I can't,
Okay.
maybe square dancing, I don't know.
Great. So Fred,
But-
then, just for the board, then what basically you're asking for is that, if I get this correct, that we go with Billiards Factory at $42.50, $4,250, and then the Billiards Club would pay $1,200?
Yes, for the 6th table. That's in my
Great,
correspondence with
okay.
you.
So
Uh,
the amount that you're asking the association to pay is $3,000.50.
6 tables total, Barb. 5 would be covered by
Got
the
it.
association.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, 42.50. All right, so the motion is to approve the Billiards Club request to resurface 5 pool tables at the association's expense of $4,250. Questions, comments from any member of the board?
Okay, so I
Madam,
know tournaments, and I'm just wondering, Fred, are you guys charging anything for these tournaments?
tell me again, I'm sorry.
I noticed that there's quite a few tournaments. You gave a sheet of paper that said approximately 8,200 games are played in a 6-month period. Are you charging for those tournaments?
No.
Okay.
The only charge we have is for membership. And as my letter states, we voted to raise the dues from 10 to 20, with 10 of that 20 going into a special fund to help defray the cost of current coverings. And if you read, hopefully I got that right. I don't know, but what I would like for the board to do is approve a yearly maintenance in the budget of covering the tables. They get so much use that if they're not recovered, pretty soon the table starts to deteriorate, and we're not able to give them proper maintenance. So what,
Okay, I have another question. What is the membership currently of the billiards club?
127?
127.
Yes.
And is the billiards club doing any type of fundraising in order to increase the dollar amount that you have in your bank account?
No.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else?
Any other questions from any board member? Steve?
I have,
Not really a question, but a concern. We pay for the sawmill to put in new lathes, and we put it in new this and new that. We pay to resurface courts, sometimes with help, sometimes not. And there needs to be some consistency relative to the resort paying for at least a portion every time we get a request from a club. And it seems to me that we pick and choose where we want to do that. And I think it's appropriate for us to say we're going to pay 80% of the cost or whatever it is and carry that through so that we don't have to go through this. The fact that we didn't accept this proposal a year ago cost us 20 some $100. That's how much those tables, the increase in cost of the covering of the table and the level from a year to today. So, I think we need to pay our share as a resort. Everyone in the resort pays for all of those amenities. If I choose, I can go play billiards. So I think it's a responsibility of the resort.
Thank you.
Becca?
I just have a question regarding your tournaments, especially the non-member tournaments.
I'm sorry.
Is there a reason why you don't charge for the non-member tournaments?
Well, no, not really. This is the thing. Those tables, I'm probably off.
Don't
touch the
hold
bottom.
this.
Don't hold the bottom.
Hold it like this, Fred. Fred.
Just the top.
Oh, like this? Is that better?
Yes.
Well, here's the story on, and I tried to put that in my letter to the board. Those tables, the balls, the cue sticks, everything in that room belongs to everybody in this room. The responsibility of the billiard club is to maintain those tables and balls, cue sticks, etc., to where guests can come in. You don't even have to be a member to come into the billiard room because it's not our room. Anybody can come in and play at any time. And if you go there of an evening, you're going to find, once the folks get back here, you're going to find evenings where there's 6 and 7 tables in use. And the reason I don't charge for tournaments, I can't give you an answer for that. We just never have. We have open play. We have, anyway.
I just have one more question. Do you have regular hours that it's open?
At 1 o'clock every day, that billiard room is open.
Until,
Pardon?
when does it shut, when does it close?
When the last person leaves. We don't have regular hours. And this is another thing. It's always been my understanding that if you want to get in the billiard room and the door is locked and you don't have the code, all you have to do is call the guard shack, and if they have somebody available, they'll come up and open up the door for you. So, or you can get a hold of a member in the billiard club. It's not an exclusive club. It's just, anyway.
Okay, thank you. Marie, you had a comment, question?
I don't have a problem with contributing to any of our clubs. What I feel though is that every club should also contribute whenever we do anything. We did do the levelings last year, and I don't mind contributing to the coverings again, but charging just even $1 per game or per person on your tournaments would give you over $8,000 to go towards the contributions. Is an easy thing, $1 per person. And it would add to the contributions. Little bitty clubs like last year when the horseshoe people put on the murder mystery dinner, they contributed. So, each club contributes, Sawmill contributes, pickleball contributes. Most clubs contribute partial, at least, to what they're asking in return. That's all I'm saying.
And Cindy, do you have anything? Any other board member? Do you have?
So Steve, I just kind of want to talk to a comment you made about being consistent as a board in supporting the clubs. I think we have to, in my opinion, have to somewhat differentiate. There are clubs that are pretty much locked down for just their members. Now, clubs like tennis, pickleball, horseshoes, all those that are out in the open that get used by non-members, those are commodities or amenities that, yes, I see the board or the association having to help or pay for. And you'll see that those clubs a lot of times put in, well, pickleball puts in about 50%. So, but when we're looking at individual clubs like Sawmill, billiards, lapidary, stitchery, now you're getting into equipment that they have purchased and are using that are not necessarily accessible to the rest of the association. And Fred, I did hear you. I know you said if it's locked, they can just call patrol. But all due respect, I don't think that's patrol's responsibility to run down and unlock a club door for a non-member to come in. But that's just my opinion. Okay. So that's where we need to differentiate on how we support the clubs or give them some ideas on supporting the clubs.
Well, if I can comment on that, probably, I'm going to say 8, 9 years ago, we used to leave the doors open at all the time. And we would lock our personal cue sticks in the cabinets on the west wall with padlocks. One evening, somebody come into the room, pried those cabinets open, and stole several cues. That's when we started locking the door. So, and you know, as far, I don't know the answer to that. I don't. I'm there, my gosh. If I had a cot there, I'd sleep. But I'm there so much. And usually the place is open as far as having individuals come in. They're always, always welcome. So
Thank
anyway,
you. Thank you.
and I'm taking a lot of your time, and I
No, no.
apologize.
No. When we have a proposal, we always have to look at where those dollars would come from. And I'm looking at the reserve study, and the only thing we have is replacement of the tables, replacement of billiards cabinets, replacement of billiards chairs, and reupholster the billiards bench. We don't necessarily have anything for resurfacing in maintaining the billiards tables. So after we move on from this, I think that we all are in agreement that we should ask the budget committee to work with management and billiards club to see how we can reconfigure this, what the real allocation should be. We haven't replaced the benches that are in there. We haven't replaced the chairs, but that's $17,000 that's sitting in there that maybe we could allocate for this. So what I'll do is I will just change the amendment slightly to state that we approve these dollars and they'll come out of the, wait a minute, I'm just lying, aren't I? It's under $5,000, so it wouldn't come out of the reserves. It's going to have to come out of operating. Okay. So the dollars would come out of operating. So any questions, any more questions from any board member here?
I get one more. I'm sorry, I'm full of them today. The question is going to be for the board. We need to think if we're setting a precedence, because if Stitchery comes next week and says we need to maintain so many sewing machines at this cost, are we going to flip the bill for that as well? We're talking about a private club. Well, it's open to membership, right? But your club is limited to your membership, right? Yes, because they're the ones that pay for membership into the club, correct? Okay. Well, terminology might be different between you and I, Dawn. So just a thought, we have to configure how we're going to manage that.
We'll figure it out. With that, I'd like to open it up to other residents for questions, comments. So Fred, you've got someone behind you.
Can I make one more comment,
Yes.
please? If you'll read my letter to you, you'll notice that we do maintain all the equipment.
Yes, we see
We
that.
buy everything. So I appreciate your time, and just know that this is needed, please.
Thank you.
Hi, Steve Kinney from Lot 987.
Okay. Hello,
And
Steve.
we're members of the billiards club. But I've never played in any of the tournaments. But my wife and I and our friends, we love to go up there. And sometimes you go up there on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, and there might be 5 or 6 couples up there playing. So it's a needed element here in the resort. So
Right.
thank
Thank
you.
you very much. Anything else? Getting kind of svelte there, Donna.
A lot of weight gone. I'm Donna, 379. For the lock situation, I sort of agree, because security is sort of busy doing other things. Anybody can look up my number and call me, and I can give them, because I'm year round, I can give them the code in. And that billiards room is open to everybody. It's just this, a few people like to be a part of the membership, but everybody uses it. And the only thing that they ask is that if you're bringing children in, to keep them under control and not to let them don't bring any drinks in and don't put anything on the tables. But they do they do a great job taking care of the billiards room. And those, if I understand right, Fred, those tables were purchased by Happy Trails.
Yes,
So we do have a responsibility of taking care of them.
correct.
Just saying. Thank you.
Thank you. I will point out that later in the conversation, we'll be talking about changes to the rules and regs. In the current rules, no one under 18 is allowed in the billiards club. So any other questions, comments by any member of the community? I'm just going to check the, I'm checking the chat. With so few members, why do we need so many tables and space being used? Sounds like a lot of outsiders using our tables and not paying for that. Is that true? Another one said, I feel all clubs should contribute towards the cost of equipment like pool tables. I agree the pool club should be charging for tournament plays. This is a very easy way to obtain funds. Fun and Games donates funds to other clubs, but even that club requests clubs to seek other sources to supplement the cost. And is there a sign on the door as to who to call if the doors are locked? The answer to that last question is yes. So yes, that was Debbie Cheek who made those comments, and she's part of Fun and Games. So really what we're also looking for is a process, this will be coming up at a later time, of making sure that when clubs contribute money to activities, that they get into a common fund or account, if you will, so that when requests like this can be addressed. So with that, I'll call the question. The motion is to approve the Billiards Club recommendation or request to replace the felt on 5 tables at the cost of $4,250. That will come out of operating. It's a dollar amount, so my typical thing is to ask for a roll call vote, please. Mike?
Roberta Ernest,
No.
Marie Beshin,
No, but I would say with the caveat that if they contributed, I would change that vote.
Becca Paulson, Becca?
I'm thinking.
Sorry,
I'm thinking.
I couldn't see you there behind the water.
I'm going to say no, but I would, as Marie said, change my vote if they chose to contribute more.
Steve Deal,
Yes.
Cindy Evans,
Yes, but we need to come up with something going forward.
Marilyn Sorensen,
No, I'm going to go with Marie. If they would, we need to have them come up with some of that money.
I'll vote yes. What I would recommend is that there be further discussion on this, come back at a future board meeting after we come up with potential solutions.
Motion does not pass.
Okay. Okay. Just a second. The next thing on the agenda is a proposal from the Budget Committee to approve residents who are receiving paper bills. Can I get a motion to that effect? Can you read the motion?
Go ahead.
I move to approve all residents receiving monthly bill notices via hard copy, USPS mail, be charged a fee for the service.
Second.
So about 4 or 5 years ago, there was a state regulation that got passed that required an organization to mail out paper bills to everyone. And there was a cost associated with that. And that was a legislative change. It occurred because of some lawsuit that occurred because some person said they had not received a bill when he was in arrears. So that affected all of us. And in order to change the request to not receive it by paper, every person individually had to elect to get an email copy. We could not start out sending email copies. It had to be the other way around. As a result of that, the costs have gone up. So, Becca, can you give us the background on the various costs?
Okay, I'm sorry. I think most of them, my numbers aren't right here, but I worked out enough. It's in my head. I also have a budget guy down there that can speak to it. Currently, and let's differentiate. A statement is not a bill. So an electronic statement comes to you in email. A paper bill comes to you by USPS. Electronic statements are $1. I don't understand why it costs $1, but we're charged $1 for each electronic statement each month. So if it was a perfect world and all 2001 units used electronic statements, it would only cost us about roughly $24,000 a year. We have 1,178 units that prefer or have chosen to take paper billing. Paper billing on January 1st is going to $2.85 plus 66 cents for postage. So now we are looking at $3.16, if my math is close, per month per 1,178 units comes to an additional, comes to a lot of money. If we were to take $1 off of that, that's where I was going. If we were to take $1 off of that and do it at the 216, it is an additional $35,000 a year we pay for paper bills. So the recommendation is that those people that choose to continue to get a paper bill would be charged the cost of that paper billing in a one lump sum January 1st. And the recommendation is going to be $35 because it actually comes out to $30.65. I'm going to recommend $35. It's a one-time fee in January, and that'll help to absorb any additional cost in postage over the year or any other additional charges. That'll give us a little bit of time to be able to absorb that rather than trying to do a continual increase. So $35 January 1st, one-time fee. That gives everyone 2 months to get onto electronic billing and or paper statement, electronic statement. And just to make sure you understand how that works, if you really have to have paper, because I know there's a few of us out there that really like to touch this paper thing. When you get your electronic statement, you can print it out and have an a paper copy that you can put in your file each month. All we're doing is saving the association an additional $35,000 a year.
I will also note that apparently some folks have had trouble in the past figuring out exactly where they have to go to elect for electronic bills. We will put directions or instructions out, and also Dawn has volunteered to help anybody on the phone or however, if you can't figure out how to do it, just give her a call and she'll be happy to walk you through it. It only takes a couple of minutes. And I would encourage everybody to go to electronic statements. Please.
And I just want to say, we realize we won't get 100% because we do have those situations where we have, estates are handling it. We have people maybe in nursing homes, whatever the case, we get it. But anything we can do to cut and absorb that cost down from $35,000 a year is very, very beneficial.
Thank you. Any questions, comments from any board member? Marilyn, do you have a question or comment? No, the other Marilyn, I'm sorry. We have so many important Marilyns. Seeing none, go ahead, Marilyn.
Marilyn Klein, 392. Why punish the people that are following the rules and just put it on the ones that want to have the paper bill?
Those
Why
are
do we
those are
have
the
to
only
do
those
that
are the
when-
only people that will be charged. The people that get the paper bills, not everybody.
Well, it sounds like it says all residents. That's misleading. And then what your explanation
All residents
was
receiving a
everybody.
monthly statement. All residents receiving a monthly statement in the mail is
Via hard copy. Hard
Via
copy
hard
means
copy.
a printed paper.
I know, but I mean, the rest of us don't need to pay then. Right?
Correct. It would be only
Okay.
$35 to the 1,178 units
Okay.
that are currently receiving hard copy paper copies.
I guess I misunderstood.
That's
Thank
okay.
you.
That's okay.
So there still will be a cost to the association of, even if 100% of us go to electronic statements, to be a $24,000. And that's something that we just need to absorb. But these are costs that are preventable for many people. So it goes to the every dollar saved, goes to the bottom line. Any comments for anybody else? Any residents? Donna?
Quick comment. Now, my husband and I are not dumb. My husband's especially not dumb. And he has tried several times to get rid of this stupid paper thing that comes to us every month, which irritates me. So we've tried to get rid of it. And he knows he's computer literate. I'm not, but he is. And he knows how to do it. And he has done it several times and can't get rid of it. Is there a way we can opt out of either one of them? I want nothing. I know that I'm going to get paid. I'm going to have to pay. So just take it out. And it shows up in neighbor that you have your dues coming through. So why even bother with any of this?
It's a state statute that we must send you a notification.
I guess I need to go to the state house then.
I know. The boys don't, and a lot of the laws for any organization come usually about because of some whoopsie that occurred. And then they create a law to try to go around it. Yes, Terry.
Yeah, Terry Walters, lot 497. I guess my heartache about this is it seems like we're probably going to discriminate against the older people that might not have email accounts. And this is something that was passed by the state that we have to do. So it's kind of like some other stuff we have to do. I mean, we really can't charge for it. And I think as people are, buying into the resort and that, we can require them to sign an automatic some kind of payment form. But we've had this discussion before with people that have emails, and a lot of older people, I'm going to say, just don't have emails. And so all of a sudden we're charging them more money. And it seems like we're under postage for the year, and we were considerably under budget for last year, and we're under budget so far this year. So I think this is something that needs to be addressed with more of some kind of a blanket campaign to go out and to encourage people to do this with the anticipation that if you don't do it, somewhere in the future, we're going to look at charging. But I think just to put it on right now in this meeting and first kind of thing that anybody heard of it, I don't think that's right.
Well, if I could answer your question, we would have a 2 solid month campaign to get people converted to electronic statement and help those that might be having some complications with the system, not from their house. There is a good share of that do have email capability, we understand we will not get 100%. It is not a penalization, but it is sharing or passing on the processing fee that is charged to us. So that is the intent. So if it takes us 2 months and we can break that 1178 barrier down by quite a bit, that'll be wonderful. But then the processing fee will be passed on to those that continue to have a paper bill.
There is also always the option of direct bank.
Separate issue. It's a separate issue. The billing of it, the automatic payment is a separate issue from the requirement to send out a statement by paper. Even if the resident must actually sign a document that says that I want to receive it electronically. That's the issue. The state wrote it the wrong way, in my humble opinion, but they don't ask me that. They'll push for it. So there are some just a second. There are some comments on the chat that most residents who receive hard copy bills do so because they do not use email or due to health reasons no longer can comprehend electronic delivery. They also pay per check for the same reason. These are the individuals most likely are not afford to increase the cost. They also don't have printers. Someone said, excellent idea. That might have been in response to Terry's comment. Another comment was great charge those, again, this is after Terry spoke, charge those that are not able to use electronic means. What about the American with Disability Act? They're being discriminated against. With that, I would respond that the ADA really looks at people that are protected classes, and we're not addressing it as a protected class. We're addressing it just as a resident. Can you put on email or correspondence with step-by-step instructions on how to electronic and opt out of paper? Dawn, can you count how many times you've done that?
I've probably honestly done it at least 4 times in the last couple of years.
4 times it's been in the Nosy Coyote and all.
Yeah, and granted, and I'm sorry to interrupt, we have changed, we've made it easier and easier, so I know it can be a little confusing right now, but we have tried multiple times.
And if a doctor provides documentation, the resident is not able to use electronic methods due to a disability, then costs be waived. Debbie, that's a tough one. Having been in the healthcare field for over 40 years, I can get a doctor to sign anything. All I have to do is say, patient, what do you want? And then when he's having his lunch, put in front of his face and say, sign it. So that's always a difficult one to look at. Everyone knows the HOA fee is due every month. Put a note in your calendar and sign up for auto pay. I expect a lawsuit on behalf of those who are disabled, was Debbie's comment. Thank you, Debbie, for that. With this, that is my thought that with anything, you're never going to get 100%. And if we could at least get a goal when this first came out, that 80% of our population was getting electronic statements, then we certainly could absorb the cost for the other 20%. But the fact of the matter is we are at more than 50%, 60% still getting paper bills. So that's where it makes it difficult for this. So with that, I'll call for the question. Okay, hold on. Let me get back to, okay. All right. The motion is to I move to approve all residents receiving monthly bills via hard copy USPS mail be charged a fee of $35 for the service beginning in January. I'd like a roll call vote, please.
Roberta Ernest.
We're going to have to start rotating us, but yes.
Will do. Marie Beschen.
Yes.
Becca Paulson.
Yes.
Steve Deal.
Yes.
Cindy Evans.
No.
Marilyn Sorensen.
Yes.
And Barbara Fiegelberg.
No.
Motion passes.
So the next item on the agenda, if we go by it, is the proposal regarding the dumpsters, which I think is probably why y'all are here. I'm looking at the time. This is going to be a charged conversation. It is 10 minutes to 2. We'll be taking a vote by 10 minutes after 2. Okay, so can I get the motion, please?
I move to approve removal of all dumpsters located at Happy Trails except for those provided for the villas and maintenance.
Can I get a second, please?
A
Second.
second.
Okay, we have a second. So can we get some background on this, please? So in our board packet, we have information about from this is a recommendation from the budget committee, though it is not there is some questions from some of the members of the budget committee on it too. Before we get going, Dave, do you have the ability to put up a picture from 2021? Just put a couple more up if you can. A second. So I think and another one, there's a lovely chair in one of these. Next one down. Keep going. Keep one more. One more. Isn't that a lovely chair that really could go to the Goodwill? So just a little background. In 2021, Mike Perry, who was at that time the chair of the BG&M committee, brought a town meeting and said, let's talk trash. That was the title of the meeting, let's talk trash. And looking at all of this junk that's being put in the dumpsters that every single one of you are paying for, because someone can't go to the Goodwill or get someone else to do it. And as I look at, and Blaine, I'll ask you to come up and give some of your numbers, but as I look at some information that I got from Bob Sandy, who's on the budget committee, who keeps track of all of the dollars that go from all the utilities, and our in-ground trash, of which we are required to pay by our CCNRs, that costs us $100,000 a year consistently. But the dumpster fee has gone up from $55,000 to almost $73,000, or a 31% change in the costs of doing all that dump. There's been a 25% increase in the tonnage of junk in our dumpsters since these pictures were taken. Since the community became aware of, we have a problem with all the trash in the dumpsters. So behavior hasn't changed. So there's been lots of work that's been done by the communication committee on informing people where to put stuff. Mike's put up wonderful signs instructing where things to go, but we've still had a 25% increase in tonnage and a fence put up. So Blaine, could you give us some of your numbers, please? And then Bill Powell is on the line. I know Blaine is on the budget committee. So Bill Powell is on the line, and Bill will ask you to add to this if you would, please.
Yeah, I can't lie to you because my boss is listening, I guess. Blaine Rubish, lot 712. I'm on the budget committee, so I'm not here to try to advocate one way or the other, just giving the numbers that the budget committee has, on hand. And I did some research last year on the trash and the dumpsters and so forth, and wrote an article for the Coyote, I believe last February, which I don't know if anybody read it or not, but it was give some other options as far as hazardous waste and different things that are out there. In doing so, I've spent a lot of time in contact with Park and Sons, and also with the company that was handling the recycling. We currently have, 14 dumpsters, the 6-yard and the 3-yard dumpsters. 3 of those are 3-yard dumpsters in the villas. They will, of course, have to stay. Then we have the 2 30-yard dumpsters out there that were meant for maintenance to use and for yard waste and things like that, which Doesn't always happen. So as Barbara said, the exact figures for the last 12 months, 12-month period, the dumpsters have cost $76,087, averaging $6,341 a month. The in-ground is set as $100,070. It's based on how much they pick up. So that's why it's a variety of charges month by month. So it varies every month. We've had as high as 15,000 a month for the in-ground and as low as 3,500 a month. So the cost of the dumpsters themselves is $2,216 a month. But then when they pick them up, there's travel fees and landfill fees, and that's where it gets up to the roughly $6,400 a month. A 30-yard dumpster, Park and Sons told me they pick them up 3 times a week, but don't take them if they aren't full. So if we just kept 30-yard dumpster for maintenance right now, that's costing us $192 every time it's dumped. The villas, the 3-yard dumpsters in the villas would continue to cost us at least $316 a month. The in-ground, because it's based on tonnage, of course, the in-ground people put out more because they don't have other dumpsters. Those costs will probably go up because of in-ground. They will only pick up what's bagged garbage. So if it doesn't all fit in the can, we can't have a lot of garbage sitting around, but they will pick up a certain amount of it as long as it doesn't get carried away. But once again, it'll be based on how much they pick up.
Blaine, can I ask you to wrap it up because I want to take a vote by
Sure.
10 after 2.
I believe that pretty much covers what I have. I'm willing to answer any other questions regarding my contact with Parkinson.
So, Bill Powell, I see you're on the line. Is there anything you'd like to add to this?
The only thing I would add at this time is right now recycling is in an extreme state of flux. We've been notified that Surprise is reopening their recycling center. However, Parkinson's has to pay to dump there. So they're either going to pay a tipping fee at the landfill or they're going to pay a tipping fee at the recycling center. So we're going to see an increase in recycled goods. I know you have a love for recycling, but there is a cost for it. So right now we're pretty good. And of course, cardboard has been discontinued already. There is no market. So we're in trouble there. So we're going to see things going up. This is a chance to control things. If we could get the contractor waste out and the overfill, we're using our own maintenance people to straighten things out. If we could end the contractor and we could end overfill, et cetera, we probably could continue to do it. We seem to have no restraint on our population.
Thank you. Board members, any comments, questions from any board member? Steve?
Again, we're talking about 15% or less of the residents of the resort that can't seem to follow the directions and accept the responsibility of not putting things in the dumpsters that don't belong there. And because that 15% is unwilling, unable, or maybe can't read, we are looking at creating an atmosphere that is not going to be positive in the resort. While I understand that the budget committee's desire to save money or to not throw money away, we as a board cannot abdicate our responsibility to the residents. There has to be a different solution, and it has to include the ability of residents to put their greens in the red bins. Now, those of you that have trees or shrubs already know what I'm talking about. and not to put things in the white bins that aren't supposed to be there. This is not rocket science. We have talked about this and talked about this and talked about this. I, for one, am not in a position now, today, to adopt that. There has to be a different solution that we can all live with. I don't know what it is. If I did, I would have suggested it a long time ago. But either BGM or some other committee needs to look at this and move forward. I don't think it's appropriate to even consider an adoption at this time.
Marie, go ahead.
We have been talking about this. I've been here for 8 years, and every single year we've talked about this. We've had signs, we've had fences, yes, we have had signs, Maynard.
Hold up, let the
Let
board
me
talk
finish.
first and then, okay, and then you'll have a chance to come back and rebut that, but let the board talk first and then the resident.
We have talked about this for over 8 years while I've been here. We've talked about trash. My feeling is that we are adults. We are who we are. All the signs in the world, all the fences in the world are not going to change anything because we're habits. We're going to do what we're going to do. It's not going to change anything. We have said the same things year after year after year. We can stand out there and we can have a person out there that says, this is what you need to do and this is what you need to do. And all the people are still going to do what they're still going to do. They're going to argue with that person or they're going to be neat and tidy. You are who you are. We're adults. We haven't changed anything. We need to move on. We've got rats, we've got birds, we've got trash. It's not just the big boxes and all that kind of stuff. It's the diseases in the rats and the stuff. We are the only resort, we are the only place around in Surprise that has dumpsters. Do you know why? Because of this. Every single place around us have removed their dumpsters because of this problem, not because just of the money. It's the problems that the dumpsters bring on. And as far as the greens are concerned, I thought about this too. I'm a master gardener. Yes, we have to take care of the greens. I want the greens. We bring them in spring and fall. That's when you're supposed to trim your greens, is spring and fall. So we bring in the two big yard things and we bring them in for a couple of weeks so that you can do the trimming when you're supposed to be doing the trimming, and you bring them in and you do the trimming and you put them in the yards at our expense, at the resort's expense, and that's when you do them, and we take them away. When it comes to the big parties at the neighborhood centers, we bind up all the trash and we have our housekeepers come and take the trash away. We've thought about those things. We're not trying to leave you in the lurch so that you have all that. So you bundle up when you have a little party at your house, you bundle up that stuff and you put it at your trash. We thought about some of these things. We don't want you to be left in the lurch, but we also don't want rats and birds and trash blowing over to festivities and into traditions. Okay? We've tackled this year after year and nothing changes because we are who we are.
Cindy, do you have a comment? Okay. Roberta, you had something else?
So to address, Steve, I understand, and I've seen that out on Facebook too. And this, I do not view this as punishing the 75 or 85% that are following the rules. I'm looking at it as a fiduciary responsibility with the board. We are required by the CCNRs to provide and pay for as an association in-ground trash, which is picked up twice a week. We are not required to provide dumpsters. I agree. Marie mentioned the fact that there are things we could put in place to help for those events, like after the yard sales, maybe have a 30 yard out there to take care of the stuff and have somebody there to help monitor it. At the end of spring or fall clippings and landscaping cleanup, we could have a 30 yard out there and people can put their stuff in there. So there's ways that we can work this. There's other options, but how much garbage can two people produce. And what I'm hearing is we've always had the dumpsters and we should keep them. It's not an amenity. It's a service that has always been here, doesn't mean it still needs to be here. There is other options available. Just like Marie said, we're not leaving you in the dust. And this is a fiduciary responsibility. 72,000 a year for dumpsters. If we could clip that back and save 65 and use that additional thousand or, $10,000 to do these other options to help everybody, then that's what we should be doing.
I agree with all of my colleagues here. I do think this is an issue that we must address. I believe that taking all of the dumpsters away now is really ripping the Band-Aid off, which sometimes is what you need to do. But I would be more inclined with charging, I've spoken to Mike Nice about this, charging the BG&M committee with really putting a plan together for what our options are. So we've received contact from a couple of residents that they know junk removal services. What would that mean? Talked about having some defined times when we would bring dumpsters in so that we can take care of the yard waste. I know we're going to be getting to the rules and regs. One of the changes that we are recommending is regardless of whether we get rid of the dumpsters, adding, it's on page 3 if you have your little Bible there, excess trash for those lots with in-ground containers, one additional bag or trash or bundled landscaping debris may be placed beside the in-ground container within 8 hours of pickup. And that would minimize the excess trash that's going into the dumpsters. The real cost is the furniture and the refrigerators that are going in it, the bulk stuff. But at least that would help, and Parks and Sons is agreeable to do that without any additional charge. They even are agreeable to having you, if you've got so much trash, putting in a second in-ground container at your cost. But so I think that there are options that we haven't clarified for the resident, and I think that we could have a plan B. So I would be in favor of us tabling this so until we could get BG&M to really give us some concrete examples of what we can do to implement this. And it's my understanding that we will not be your goodwill delivery any longer. That sofas and chairs and that are not in there. Any other questions, comments from?
I would just request that we put a timeline on that tabling, no more than 60 days.
Agreed.
With that, I'll open it up for a few minutes for residents. I'm seeing a lot on here, so Lori, go ahead.
Hi, Lori Gray, lot 1404, and I do agree with the board's thought process on removing the dumpsters, just for the fact that there is 15 or 20% of the people here. We were just there, there's refrigerators, there's mattresses, there's huge furniture. It's ridiculous. I mean, you guys got to take it to Goodwill. You can rent a truck for $20. Your neighbor has a truck. Don't just throw it in the dumpsters. It's the cost, is incredible. I do believe that most of the people that I've spoke with would be happy to pay an extra $1 or $2 a month to keep the dumpsters in place, but we do need to get the problem under control. And I think that is the biggest part of it. We've got the fencing there. That fencing's a joke. I'm sorry. It's a joke. I think if you want to do a more permanent fencing, like what's in the storage unit, and only allow a golf cart size vehicle to go through to put your household trash, and then one day a week, say, open it up to a larger vehicle to go in there, that might be an idea or something there to help curtail that.
Thank you.
But you guys do have to, we do need a solution, not just cut them off. Let's come up with a solution. The cameras, what the heck's up with that?
Yeah.
And then the last thing is, the people that are going through and they're, getting the park models or the villas or whatever you're doing, construction wise, I think it ought to be the minute that they start a remodel project, they should have to go to DRC and get a permit and put in one of, a small
Correct.
dumpster outside or the bag so that stuff is not going into the dumpsters.
Right.
So,
Thank you. You might get on a committee, Lori. Bob.
Well, I'm Bob Walls, lot 2369. I do agree with you. I think the dumpsters have got to go away. It's just costing way too much money. Back home, I belong to HOC back home in Washington. And we had, with the garbage company, authorization, and they put up where we could get a yard waste delivered to our house. And they pick up twice a week, or I mean, twice a month, pick up yard waste. That would be the additional cost to the homeowner, not to the association. And I would like to see a yard waste delivered, because we all have recyclables at our house. Trees and stuff like that needs to be cleaned up. So I'd like to see a yard waste brought in here. And we can negotiate that with Parks and Sons. So I'd like to see that. That's what I'm.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. I will reiterate too that we have had many comments from people that live particularly in Section 8, which are close to the dumpsters. And this is a real pet peeve, eyesore, pet peeve, smell, everything to them, and in addition to noise. Maynard, you're on.
Yes, I'm Maynard, 1621. I was in the garbage business for 27 years. And we're going on our 4th year here. And I brought it up. You can ask Michael several thousand times. Signs. They ordered signs last year, and the signs read, "Don't leave garbage on the ground, put it in the dumpster." That's telling you absolutely nothing. I mean, common sense will tell you, well, they don't want to throw it in front of the dumpster, but they do anyway. But there's no sign saying, put this in the roll, like cardboard. I said, let's put it in the roll-offs, not fill the damn dumpsters with them. And they did. It didn't, so they filled the dumpsters with them. But there was a lot of things that should have been on signs, like the metal piles over by the car wash, stuff like that. But they don't want to do that. But I agree, we don't need that stuff. I mean, I was in the garbage business, like I said, 27 years, and we picked up once a week, and senior citizens had a 40-gallon container.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Maynard. Just before you get started, sir, I just want to go through some of the things on the chat regarding this. Some say it's a good idea. People need to have been told time and time again, and they continue to abuse it. The only concern is how would you prevent residents from the villas, residents from using their dumpsters? They would be locked, and only villa residents would have the code to get in. Have we noticed a difference since the recycle bins were removed? The only recycle bin that's been removed was the cardboard. And I read on Facebook that we got rid of the cardboard recycling, and that is not necessarily true. The cardboard business that did the recycling went out of business. So we didn't make them go out of business. So no, it's not due to the cost. Again, they talked about ADA. Someone wanted to do what would the $76,000 be used for? Pickleball? No. Well, I'm not saying no, but there's lots of things that those dollars could go for. Elderly residents are not able to drive or carry items to the city dump. Removal of dumpsters would be enormous hardship. So as we talk about alternatives, we need to address that. The amount of trash is not necessarily going to decrease. Many people are suggesting that we just increase the due $3 a month. If people read the long-range plan, people love living in Happy Trails because it's a beautiful community, and a wonderful RV resort, but please don't increase my dues. It was pretty loud and clear. You don't want your dues to go up, but you let it go up for garbage. So there's lots of different options in here. So I won't go over them one by one, but just want to acknowledge to everyone who has put things in the chat that we will be keeping track of this and looking at them collectively. So sir, in here, go ahead.
Conrad Revenig, lot 1150. I go along with pretty much what Lori said, only I wanted to add a couple things. I do believe that we could get rid of them out of here, but the shock and awe pictures were a bit much. I know it gets bad back there here and there, but it's not like that every day. And it's not like that most of the time I've ever gone down there. So it is a bad problem, should get rid of them, but solutions is what we should look for first, not just yank, which that's what I think what it feels like to a lot of people. Have goodwill bring a truck in here every so often, take people's stuff so they don't have to get it somewhere. A lot of people can't get to, a truck or whatever kind of thing. They don't know what to do with their extra stuff. Bring, like I think you brought up, bring a dumpster in here every so often and say October 21st is going to be dumpster pickup day or whatever for your larger items or whatever. So prepare your things for that time. So there's a lot of different solutions out there. A recycle truck of some sort. There's recycling trucks out there also that may be able to help. There's a lot of solutions like that are out in the community that we could bring in here on somewhat of a scheduled basis, a couple times a year, just like we do garage sales or things like that. And we can come up with some better solutions than just to yank it out and people kind of looking around, what do I do now with all my stuff? Because it is a change and it will take a little time to get through that change. Thank you.
Thank you, Conrad. Ms.
Linda
Linda.
Johnson, Villa 2161. You already answered my question. I just wanted to make sure that the villa dumpsters are included, and as far as there is some regulation to make sure that they're locked or something, so that, because there's 129 villas, there's 3 dumpsters, that's 43 lots per 1 dumpster. And during the season, the villas just themselves, I mean, we fill them up. And so as long as you remember, we need them locked if you're going to remove the other ones. Thank you.
Correct. We'll limit it to those 2 people that are in line right now, and then we'll call for the question.
Thank you. Al Strike, lot 2370. I agree we have a problem because I've been up to dumpsters and I've seen metal in the regular bins. We've got a metal recycling. They're not used. People aren't paying attention. So we've got a problem. But I don't think removal of the dumpsters is going to solve that problem. First of all, have you thought about how much fun it is to stuff the clippings off of a grapefruit tree into a plastic bag? That's not going to happen. So we got to figure out something for those people. I already talked to somebody this morning. He has 5 fruit trees in his backyard. He says, if we remove those dumpsters, those are all coming out. And I've got a bunch in my yard and mine will be out too. What's that going to do to Happy Trails Resort if we remove trees and shrubs? All those rabbits, the birds, coyotes, who are in here because of rabbits, they're not going to come up. And that's part of the life that we have that excites us, is to be able to see critters like that. And then the other last question I have is, we removed the bins for the paper this spring. And I was trying to count, and I'm sure I've lost count, but there were probably somewhere between 8 or 10 bins in the resort for paper. What's going to happen when the rest of the residents get here? We have already, I see Amazon and FedEx and all those companies going by. We're buying more and more stuff with cardboard papers. We've got to have a place to dump that.
Right.
So we've got to have a solution, and I don't know what it is, but I'd be happy to work on it.
Excellent. You're on it, Al. And last, just Terry, I said only the people that were standing. So if you have anything new, Terry? Okay. Go ahead, Bill.
Hi, I'm Bill Trice, lot 2350. And I was wondering, are the cameras working on the dumpster areas over there?
Yes.
The cameras.
Yes, and they have been.
So Mike, could you tell us the problems you run into with the cameras though?
We have a couple issues with camera usage. They're good quality cameras, but we have limitations to what you can see. If you're in a golf cart and there's no definition on that golf cart of who it may be, a lot of folks look very similar. It's hard to recognize exactly who someone is. And we're also getting, this is a big problem, we're getting a lot of contractors that are coming down with the homeowner to dump the garbage in the contractor vehicle. And the number one thing is said, I'm with the homeowner. So it's one of those scenarios where we're still dealing with that issue, even though we're trying to stop the contractor issue. So that is part of the problem, of course. But the cameras are great for incidents and damage and things like that, but it's hard to recognize exactly who someone might be. I've seen a golf cart with a washing machine on the back of it that was, running down to that area. Hard to tell whose golf cart, who it belongs to, unless someone's watching it all day long.
And usually the person's got gray hair and glasses, right?
Frequently.
The question is why penalize the people that do it right?
Correct.
They should have cameras that we recognize.
Right. Okay. All
I
right.
understand that. Also, yesterday I was down there and there was a contractor dumping down there.
Yeah.
So I asked him, are you a contractor? He goes, yeah. I said, well, you can't dump here. He just went ahead and dumped anyway. So the cardboard boxes need to be broken and put in there. It saves a little bit of room. I go down there and I cut them all up as much as I can, and then get them where they're flat. What else was I?
Okay.
Oh, my grandsons go to GCU and they bring in dumpsters for those kids when they leave at the end of the year, and they throw all their furniture and stuff in it. Goodwill.
Yeah, if we can have groups like that come in, it might be helpful. Okay, thank you.
I just we need to address the people that don't follow the directions on how to do it. The dumpsters, if we can get them, we can go and say, hey, you can't do that.
Right.
Then, anyway, that's my spiel.
It'd be nice if there was a way we could address the people that aren't doing it without all of us going to jail. Terry, one more last question, then I'm calling for the vote.
Well, it's just you should have shown the picture that had the golf cart of the dumpster that one time. That was a good time. Then they tried to get it back out. But, we have a nice resort because there is places to do all these things.
Yeah. Great.
And I still think it comes down to budget. There's been some conversation, okay, so we pay a little more. Last year, we were $14,000 under budget for that department. So maybe a combination of some bigger dumpsters and a little more, I guess, making people aware of what needs to happen.
Thank you. Becca, would you be willing you made the motion, would you be willing to rescind the motion and change it?
Yes, I rescind the motion at this point and move that the idea of removing all dumpsters located at Happy Trails be forwarded or given to BGM for consideration and to come up with options.
Within 1 month?
Within 1 month.
Okay, all right.
30 days.
I'll second that. So any questions, comments related to the new motion that's on? Table this and have the BGNM committee work diligently with interested parties coming up with solutions. Any questions, comments?
Did we have a timetable on this?
30 days. Okay, let's call for the motion. All in favor, say aye. Raise a hand. Raise a hand.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Great. Well, I'm only 10 minutes over. Not too bad. Okay, so the next thing on the agenda is to get a proposal from Clearwing Systems for new drape for PAC. Can I get a motion to that effect? Okay. So give me a second, I'll get to it. I'll second it. The motion is to approve the proposal from Clearwing Systems Integration in the amount of $5,726.61 for replacement of the new drape in the PAC. So can we have some discussion on that? Mike, can you give us the information?
Yes, and Thelma's here if she needs to speak to it as well, but we're having some quality issues with this existing curtain here. It has been existing, from what I understand, my documentation for quite some years. It's within our reserve study with a 2-year lifespan on it, and it was allocated 20 years. We're having some issues with the top of the fabric. It's ripping from its seams, and of course this is a fire retardant curtain. Of course it has to meet code for that.
Okay. So that would be a reserve item 931 of in our reserve study. It has a 20-year life. There's 2 years remaining on all of the curtains, and it was, oh, good Lord, I just went to it, went away. I believe it was $16,000 that is allocated for all of them. Any questions, comments from any member of the board?
Is the theater or fellowship willing to participate in a donation for it?
I do not know. I'm only in charge of the men's dressing room, right, Joy? Not to my knowledge. Any fellowship here? No. Okay. All right. Any other questions, comments from any member of the board? Any member of the community regarding spending a little over $5,000? Did I say 7?
The red curtain directly behind.
Mhm. Someone asked about the sewing club. I am a member of Stitchery, and I'm a pretty darn good sewer. I've never done curtains like this before, but there's a potential we could do, but sometimes it's just as cheap to buy one. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, this is Trudy Skelton, lot 1413. I think some of that's been answered. From the note on here, a lot of us didn't understand what drapery you were talking about. We thought you were going to change everything in the offices and everywhere else. But anyway, so you're talking about the stage drape.
Stage drape.
Okay. And the fellowship does not use that. Just so you know.
Pardon
the
me?
fellowship does not use that.
Thank you. Thank you. Fellowship does not use it. Okay. Any other questions, comments from any resident? Seeing none, we'll call for the motion, given it's a dollar amount. I'll ask for a roll call vote. The motion is to approve the proposal from Clearwing Systems Integration, the amount of $5,726.61 for replacement of a new drape in the PAC. Roll call vote, please.
Marie Beschen,
Yes.
Becca Paulson,
Yes.
Steve Deal,
Yes.
Cindy Evans,
Yes.
Marilyn Sorensen,
Yes.
Roberta Ernest,
Yes.
and Barbara Fiegelberg.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Excellent. Next on the agenda is the proposal from Clearwing Systems. So I'll make the motion. I move to approve the proposal from Clearwing Systems Integration in the amount of $39,997.43 to upgrade the lighting in the PAC. Can I get a second?
Second.
So what we have in our proposal is from a resort lighting upgrade. Thelma or Mike, can you give us a little background on how old the system is that we currently have and what this new system will do for us?
I'm sure that Thelma will be able to speak to it a little bit more. The system that we have here is very, very, very outdated. Within the last year, we've ran around in circles trying to find somebody that could install the new program when we had this system go down, and it actually takes a floppy disk. And that's part of our problem, is that when we have issues with this system, it's nearly impossible to maintain. We have I'm sure that Dave could probably give us a better count, but I had 26 bulbs that went out in this room within the last month. And the system is so outdated for what it's being ran off of that we're going to have to look at that down this road here. We wanted to get this number in front of you guys to really look at this in a bigger picture and understand that it's probably going to be an expense that we may need to look into. They are working currently. We are running. We are performing at this level with the existing lighting that we have, but we do see that to be a concern moving forward. I'm sure, I believe that Thelma is in here if she has any extra to add. Okay.
So the question that I have, and you may not know the answer, maybe Becca does, maybe Bill Powell online does. I'm looking at the reserve study, and it has ballroom lighting under item 932, ballroom lighting replace. It apparently has a 31-year life, of which 11 years is left, value at $76,000. So understanding that this system obviously is very old, and that's why it needs a floppy disk, which is hard to imagine that things need that anymore. But is this a full replacement of the $76,000, or is there other portions of the lighting that are included in that dollar amount?
So the $39,997 would cover the full upgrade to the lighting system in the Performing Arts Center.
That includes all the stage lights and everything.
You have a microphone
Thelma,
here,
come up
darling.
here, please. I'd just like a better understanding of what we're doing here.
What it would include is the light, where we have the lights on the wall, where you can change, different settings and everything. They would upgrade in the back where the light, there's a room back here that has where the floppy disk is and everything. That would be upgraded. And then all these house lights here that keep going out every week that they have to replace. The house lights, not the stage lights, but the house lights, yeah.
Then I assume, are the stage lights a different system?
Those
Will it
lights are
integrate,
different,
or,
right.
I mean, are there two systems in here? There's the house lights and the stage lights?
Dave?
How do
There's
they?
two. Yeah, there's
Okay.
two systems. So these are the house lights here.
Right.
Yeah, and these are the ones that keep
Right.
going out. And I think it was just a year and a half, a year and a half ago, they went out, and it took us, 2 weeks or something?
Right.
And so if we've got, my thing is that if we have our entertainment coming and we can't find a floppy disk, something happens to the lights or whatever, then it's going to be
Then
an
you're
issue.
singing.
So.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be stage lights though, Thelma?
It does not include stage lights.
No, I know. But you said if entertainment's coming and you couldn't find the lights,
Yeah, the house lights. We'd have to
Oh.
have house lights on.
turn the stage lights on. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm
We'll
kidding.
have flashlights. We'll give them some flashlights.
What operates the bulb? Okay. Any other questions, comments from Cindy? Go ahead.
Yeah, so is this the only company that does this work?
There are others. We haven't got a secondary estimate as it's challenging to find. We have a relationship with Clearwing, and it's challenging to find reputable companies that are specializing in performance lighting. And that's kind of where we're at. We're looking for some secondary and maybe even a third estimate if we can get it. Clearwing was one that we could get an estimate from immediately, considering our relationship with them existing.
What is the lead time on this? So if we go forward with this, how long does it take for them to actually start the work, and how long will it take them to complete the work?
So here within your board packet, it says, due to current lead time issues, Clearwing would invoice the stored materials monthly. It says the lead times for materials and services may vary by manufacturer, providing fluctuate depending on market condition. Lead times will shift as required for equipment to arrive. So we don't have an exact date.
It says currently the lead time after receipt of order is about 10 weeks. So really, we're talking about this being after the season? Thelma? Where did Thelma go? You got too many. Right. Now, they're not working in cahoots with the car wash people, are they?
I hope not.
Sorry, Mike. That it says that the lead time for the specified equipment after receipt of order is about 10 weeks. So that means that we're probably not going to get it installed until after this year's entertainment is over, correct?
That is correct. We were
Okay.
thinking that if it got approved, then we could work on that for the summertime, and that way it wouldn't be a lot of usage in here.
Okay. Locking it on today's prices. Okay. All right.
Thelma, while you're up there, does that include the curtain too? Is that going to be after the season?
No, the curtain needs to be done immediately.
Oh,
yeah.
well, I know it needs to be. Will
Yeah,
it? Can
well,
it?
Yeah, I think it's only a couple weeks for the curtain to come in and then install it.
Okay.
Yep. So any questions, comments from any resident? Marilyn? Somebody said something. Seeing none, I'll call for the motion. The motion is to approve um, the proposal from Clearwing Systems Integration in the amount of $39,997.43 to upgrade the lighting in the PAC, and that would come out of the reserve. I believe I said 932. I could be lying on that. Dollar amount, I'd like a roll call vote, please.
Becca Paulson,
Yes.
Steve Deal,
Yes.
Cindy Evans,
Yes.
Marilyn Sorensen,
Yes.
Marie Beschen,
Yes.
Roberta Ernest,
Yes.
and Barbara Frigelberg.
Yes,
Motion passes.
thank you. So the next thing on the agenda has to do with the fire hydrants. So Roberta, would you make that motion, please?
I move to approve the proposal for the annual fire hydrant inspections for an amount not to exceed $9,810.
And Becca second that. So from what I understand, this is something that we have to do every year, whether we want to or not. The fire hydrants need to be inspected. It's just a matter of getting the various quotes. So we have a quote from AP Fire at 9810, Matrix Fire at 7175, and Mountain State at 7583. So Mike, and what all of these companies do is they inspect them as for their various protocol, and then they submit the final inspection to us and also to the agencies that have to receive that. So, Mike, can you refresh my memory? Is it Mountain State that we've had before?
That is correct. Mountain State did our inspection last year.
Okay, and were there any issues that we found with them? How were they to work with? Were they as timely as they said they were going to be? Were there any surprises?
No, we were happy with the services they were providing. We wanted to, just put our out there and see what the costs were for this as things fluctuate every year. So we wanted to provide those estimates, but I think that, we would be just building the relationship with Mountain State Fire Protection moving forward if we did choose them to do this annual inspection.
Okay. Any questions from any member of the board? Steve?
My question, Mike, is were the bid specs given to all three companies exactly the same? Because there's a fair discrepancy between the low and the high. And it seems to me if they're all bidding on the same product, that's one thing. And hopefully they are.
Correct. Yes, they were provided spec of exactly how many units we have on property. And to be honest, I got a fourth one that came in almost $10,000 more than one of them. So it is all over the ball yard here when it comes down to the pricing of the services provided.
Thank you. Anything else from any board member? Anything from any resident? So I'd like to just amend the motion to say that the move to approve the proposal from Mountain State Fire Protection at $7,583 to perform the annual fire inspection. Second that. So dollar amount, roll call vote, please.
Steve Deal,
Yes.
Cindy Evans,
Yes.
Marilyn Sorensen,
Yes.
Marie Beschen,
Yes.
Becca Paulson,
Yes.
Roberta Ernest,
Yes.
and Barbara Fiegelberg.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. The other thing that we've asked Mike to prepare for the budget committee is that every year, so this is the inspection portion of the fire hydrants, but every year we hit with some surprises about some fire hydrant repairs or replacements that need to occur. So Mike is giving us some background information that will be forwarded to the budget committee to look at on average how much that is so that we can get that into the budget. We'll get a surprise as to which fire hydrant needs to be repaired or replaced. At least we'll have a better idea of how much it's going to cost us on an annual basis. So thank you for that. So the last thing on the agenda is for the board to review and discuss the updated rules and regulations. The intent is that we'll discuss it here. We will table any vote until the November meeting, And in the interim, we'll be holding open forums throughout the community to go over the details of these rules and regs. So can I get a motion to at least to move to discuss the updated rules and regs? So Becca moves and Roberta seconds. So just for those of you, do you have your little cheat sheet here? For those of you who are online, we will be posting this online. A little bit of background. There have been, the last time the rules were changed was 2016. And in that time, there's been a lot of legal changes that have occurred. And there's been some things that need clarification. And there has been some requests from some residents. There are, as you can see from this, 6 pages of different changes that have been either requested or that we've tried to implement. We as board members don't agree on all of these. And so what I want to do just in the time we have left is just review what these changes are. And then what we'll do is be open for some few questions, but then in the forums that we'll have throughout this next month, you can really get into the detail as to the whys and the wherefores. So the first change has to do with a guest, and that really is just a clarification of the definition. In the new thing, it would state a guest is a person who resides with, the addition is stays overnight with a resident, and the addition is or additional property owned by a resident for which the resident does not receive compensation. The rationale for that change is there always is questions about who's a guest and who's a visitor. So a guest is someone who stays overnight. And as many of you are aware, the City of Surprise has now had a new ordinance in place regarding 30-day rentals. And the people who would be required to comply with the City of Surprise's 30-day new ordinance regarding 30-day rentals are people who advertise for a profit. So we know many of you in this room and many of people online and people who are still sitting at home have a second piece of property that you do not rent out, but you use it for family or friends who come to visit for a short period of time. You are not getting compensation for that. You are not advertising for that. So that would clarify that, it would help in that clarification, we believe. The second change that has been requested from some residents is for us to change the recreational vehicle limit from currently you have to have at least a 24-foot recreational vehicle to be in the community. Residents are asking for it to change to 18. I almost said 15. Good Lord. That's going to be a controversial one for us all to discuss, whether as you know, there are a lot of people downsizing to some very nice Class Bs, some nice trailers, 18-foot trailers out there. But as we look at our long-range planning, and really folks are what they want this community to be. So there's some other options related to that. So there's going to be a lot of conversation about that. The 1.4.c, the vacation villa, is just to incorporate previously approved changes to the DRC guidelines. It increased the maximum in the villas to 1252 square feet. The habitable space one is just changing the wording so it's consistent with what's in the CCNRs. The visitor just eliminates the final sentence that a visitor is a person who doesn't stay overnight. We eliminated that last portion. I don't have water cups. That's down here farther. Okay. Lot caretaker, we added this definition because we refer to it later. Lot caretaker is a person hired by a homeowner while he or she is away from the property for extended periods who will perform services as negotiated with the homeowner, such as lot maintenance on the exterior or services within the home. Caretaker will be available to answer emergency situations. That's a pretty standard definition of a caretaker, but we felt it needed to be in here since we do refer to it later. The age verification just clarifies that the residents must comply with the survey that occurs every 2 years. That's part of our fair housing, our HUD requirement. The 3.5 is just a minor insert of the common areas, no significant change to that. Next page, 3.6 talks about vehicles on sidewalks. Currently, golf carts are not allowed on sidewalks in the neighborhood centers or town center. Currently, golf carts are not allowed on sidewalks in the neighborhood center or town center. Some of your fellow residents abuse that role. In fact, I did have a resident to mind my own business when I told him he wasn't allowed to do that. A number of years back, there was a small committee within activities when Brent was around that looked at the possibility of having golf carts for specific purposes. So we've added the exception to an exception is a resident with a disabled parking permit may apply for an exception to allow a golf cart to be driven on the patios or sidewalk of the neighborhood center or the town center for the sole purpose of pickup or drop-off. Golf cart must not be left unattended. The reason it shouldn't be left unattended is that particularly, say, up in Stitchery and Lapidary, there's not a lot of room for golf carts and pedestrians back there, and particularly if we have housekeeping that needs to get back there. And this would just be for pickup or drop-off, not staying in forever and ever. 3.7 just added the word vaping and also added that you can't do it within 20 feet of the pool enclosure. And that was per request of residents. Extended absence is what we've changed there is just the dates. So we want you to fill out an arrival or departure form, particularly 30 days, if you're going to be gone 30 days or longer. And then here's where we added the caretaker part. Any property owner who has departed the resort for longer than 45 days must have a lot caretaker on file. And the purpose of that is so that if there is a compliance issue or an emergency issue within management, that they can contact someone if they're not able to contact the lot owner. The 4.4 just clarifies our current practice regarding the mail center. 4.10, this would be, if approved, a new rule to limit water usage for vehicles and property on each lot. As you know, we live in the desert, and there are conversations about possibly the various counties and cities having to limit the water that we get. I live in the Seattle area, and what do people think about Seattle? Rains. Seattle itself is asking people to cut back on their water usage, the 9 inches below average. So if you imagine Seattle cutting back. But what this is doing for two things is that looking at the potential that we might have to cut back water, and also the fact that probably one of our biggest expenses that we have every year is the amount of money we have to pay for new asphalt. Water potentially ruins our asphalt. So this would be a new rule, if passed, if approved as is. Passenger vehicles shall only be washed in the designated car wash area, not on the owner's lot. A recreational vehicle may be detailed on the lot up to twice per year. All property or driveway shall only be washed using a pressure washer with a flow rate of 2 gallons per minute or less. Contractors shall use a pressure washer having a flow rate of 2 gallons per minute or less. Park models and other buildings should only be washed once when the owner arrives at the resort at the beginning of the season. That's pretty much verbatim what are in other communities such as ours. We've added another one for discussion, a new rule, 4.11, which talks about estate and private sales. Periodically, we get into locking horns with some residents about this. And this would create a process when residents need to hold an estate sale outside of the normal garage sale schedule. And it reads, it would be limited, the estate and private sales would be limited to times when the resident or lot is being sold. Contracted professional agencies may not bring in outside merchandise. Arrangements must be made in the management office. That's that. 4.12 is a new rule to allow residents to place excess trash next to their in-ground container. This would, the board's thought is we would put this in place regardless of whatever we do with the dumpsters. To allow for excess trash for those with in-ground trash containers, one additional bag of debris or bundled landscaping debris may be placed beside the in-ground container within 8 hours of pickup. I live in Section 1. That might be problematic for some people in Section 1. I have a new puppy who goes out at 5:30, and I do see that Parks and Sun is out there at 5:30, so that's might be difficult. But this does, and Parks and Sons has agreed to pick this up at particularly no extra cost. The 5.1 would incorporate, if we do change from 24 feet to 18, this would incorporate the change, but it also incorporates the changes to the CC&Rs that we talked about, that it must be in excellent condition versus like new. 5.2. D is a recreational vehicle must be in working order and removed off property at least one time per year. That would be a new rule if approved to assure that any RV is in good working order. That might be problematic. The concern about many folks is that there are some RVs deteriorating within the community. And if there was a rule that they had to remove it at least once a year, that we would know it would at least work. And for those people who really are RV aficionados, they tell me that your RV really should move at least one time a year. Under passenger cars, the only change here is that the DRC guidelines did change that, in essence, that you can't park on gravel on your lot. If you're going to park on it, it has to be paved or concrete. Under prohibited vehicles, there are a couple of things. The golf cart trailer was there before, but we crossed out golf cart and just put in flatbed trailer as a clarification. And under prohibited vehicles, we put in unlicensed off-road vehicles, such as UTV side-by-side units, are prohibited to be stored on the lot. A licensed off-road vehicle can be stored on the lot. 6.10 would be a new restriction if approved, and it would restrict the number of vehicles that can be parked on a lot. The total number of vehicles parking on a lot is limited to a combination of 3 vehicles. This could be 2 cars, 1 golf cart, 1 car, 2 golf carts, 1 car, 1 golf cart, 1 UTV, or any other combination thereof. Does not include your RV, right? So that might be controversial. 7.6, the statement there has to do with golf carts. This is a request from the safety committee that golf carts are encouraged to use the automobile lanes within the resort. This as a result that there were some people who felt that the golf carts who have the ability to go 20 miles an hour, which many of yours do, it does feel unsafe to the residents who are walking along the way that you might jump the curb and hit them. Well, they thought maybe I might too, but so the safety committee say for those that can go fast, let them go in the car lane. 7.6 is just clarifying where you can do your repairs, and that light repairs really must be done back in the wash rack area. That's current practice. It's just putting it in writing. Under vehicle storage, just adding that off-road vehicles can also be parked in the RV storage. And I do believe that that's current practice. It's just putting it in writing. 10.4 talks about pet control. It says that pets are never allowed to run loose. We added except in designated fenced areas. Under lot restriction 10.6, just a minor clarification. The last sentence, no pet shall be left unattended. We added outside of the residence. It's no big deal. The 10.8, it just talks about pet enclosures. In the prior, it said that you weren't allowed them, but there were some DRC guideline changes that allowed them. So this just makes our 2 documents match up. Under 11.2, pool spa hours, we added the word spa. And what we did was we did not change the winter hours, October through April. They've always been 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. We just included them here. They were not included before, so there's no real change in that. The next page, 11.10, talks about children. There were requests from some residents that under the neighborhood pools, during the off-season, children were allowed in the neighborhood pools, and there were requests that, why do we allow that? Why isn't it just that there's no children allowed in neighborhood pools, period, unless the town center pool is out of order? This 11.11 regarding swimwear, that's just incorporating previously approved changes that are consistent with Maricopa County health regulations. 11.13 just talks about volume, and it says that your battery operated radios recorders can only be at a reasonable volume, so the volume does not affect other residents, and that was a request from residents to change that. Vaping, smoking, this again, we're not talking about the pool area. No smoking is allowed in the pool area or within 20 feet of the fencing. This includes all smoking products. Again, a request from the residents. Residents really complain when you're smoking your cigarettes and your cigars in the pool. don't know how you're doing the laps, but there you are. The sign one, that's just a clarification. I don't really see that that's any change to current practice. The real big one here is political signs, 12.8. The state legislators are very concerned about flags and political signs. And under the state legislation, a political sign is anything intended to influence an election. And if we look at the long-range planning report that we got, one of the things that really irritates residents is when during an election season or even prior or 365 days a year, you have a flag with a candidate's name on it. And what this says, and even if it has the candidate's name on it, the state legislature does believe that that is a political sign, that it's intended to influence an election. So political signs are allowed. One change that occurred was instead of just 3 days after the election, it had to be taken down. It's now 15 days. Under 12.8.1, it would allow that if when any one of you are running for the board, you may be allowed, or one of your friends would be allowed to put one of your signs on their lot. But the size and number of political signs in aggregate shall not exceed 9 square feet. And that is in the state statutes. We can't tell you how many signs you can have. You could have 20 signs, but as long as they don't exceed 9 square feet. So a flag with a political name on it, a candidate's name on it, or prior candidate's name on it, or even if it was I like Ike, if it's a flag size, it exceeds the 9 square feet, so it's not allowed. The flags that we will allow are only those that are listed in the Arizona State Statute. The number is currently about 26 or 27. It used to be around 7. And what we've worded here is the display of any flag is limited to only those flags expressly permitted by Arizona State Statute 33-1808, A 1 through 7. Those flags must be displayed on a flagpole, limited 2 per flagpole and per lot. And then we will include a listing of all the various flags that one is allowed. And as I said, it's about 27 of them. More flags than Carter's got pills. 12.10 is a personal sign or banner. So let me back up about flags. So that means that if my dear friend Juan Woodward was still alive, he would not be able to have his Oregon Ducks flag out there. I would not be allowed to have my Washington Huskies flag out there. The only flags we will be allowing are those that, or my Seahawks flag. I see we got a Packers fan down here in front. So the only flags we'll allow are those that are what's limited in the statute. A personal sign or banner, though, a smaller one, you could have like on a garden flag. And that's what the next thing talks about. A personal sign or banner, which would be a fabric, seasonal, decorative, state, or sports flags are permitted as a banner or a garden flag and must be in good taste and moderation. And we reserve the right to enforce anything that may be found offensive or unsightly. We have had situations where residents have come to us and saying, I don't like the flag that's being posted there. And this then gives us a right to say that someone has complained about it and you need to take it down. 12.18 would be a new standard, a new rule. We currently have and this follows the nuisance definition. And a nuisance is anything that really is considered that related to the senses, whether I smell your cigarette smoke or I hear your loud music. What else would I see? Scenes. I don't like you running around nude. Those types of things. I haven't seen anybody. Anyway, so there's a nuisance, and a nuisance really is something that's neighbor to neighbor. And typically boards don't get involved for things that are neighbor to neighbor. But if it becomes a problem, then it's something we might need to deal with. The thing we do have to deal with, though, is harassment. And so next to nuisance, the next line down would be this 12.18, which is harassment. And harassment is any conduct directed at a specific person that would cause a reasonable person to be seriously alarmed, offended, annoyed, or feel harassed. And the board is required to take action and when harassment is directed towards any member of a protected class. And this sort of differentiates from a nuisance. So if you Google nuisance versus harassment, nuisance is that I say to Roberta, Roberta, your music is just driving me nuts. That's a nuisance. And they're just blaring onto my property and I can't sleep. And I like to sleep 20 hours a day. And if she doesn't turn it down and I ask her again, and then she starts getting a little bitchy with me, no, she wouldn't, then it could potentially become harassment. So there's quid pro quo type of harassment where I'll turn it down if that's not allowed, and that's something the board would need to take action on. But particularly if it's regarding a protected class, then it's action we need to take. And the board felt it needed to add this in here because we've had some complaints over the last 3 years about sometimes the behavior, particularly at the pool, can be less than charming. That really could border on harassment, that is not allowing all the other residents to enjoy the community. So that's why that's in there. It's a legal definition that we've got. So it's 3 o'clock. What I would ask is that that we defer any comments or questions about this now, unless we can limit it to 5 minutes. But the comment being that we will be having meetings this month on this, where we can get your input and get your thoughts on what of this will be included, tweaked, changed, eliminated, with the thought that we would be voting on this in the November meeting. Any quick comments from any member of the board? So we will do that. So all in favor of tabling it for the next meeting. Okay. All in favor, aye? Aye. Okay, great. Thank you very much. So we'll ask Mike to post this on the website, and then in the weekly blast, there'll be a link. He'll give you instructions on how to get to it if you don't have it. I would ask that, now this is going to be hard for some of you. I would ask that, remembering that our method of communication is not on Facebook. We do not engage on Facebook. So I would just ask that any comments you have, that you send to us, because we can help clarify those, and that those people come to the meeting so they can discuss it, so everybody's can be heard. So that's all I ask of you. You do with it what you want. With that, the president's announcements that we've got, we did announce that we have Marilyn on board now, which we are delighted about. And again, very thankful that we had 9 quality candidates. I'm just trying to bring up my calendar here. The 19th is the day that we're having the We're Listening session, and that is going to be at 10:30 in the NC1 main building, main room. And on the 26th is the day that we'll be scheduling all the meetings related to these rules and regs. Okay. Mike, do you have anything?
The car wash is coming, I promise. So I understand the car wash was due in June, then July. We do have the installator that is going to be installing that. Should only be taking about a day and a half to do it. The last conversation we had with him was our car wash is in Arizona. The guy that installs it is in Texas. And he intends to be on property, as far as I'm informed, next week to install that car wash.
Excellent. So with that, I will move that we adjourn the meeting. The board will be going to an executive session after this to discuss some appeals and a couple of other things that are on our legitimately on our agenda. So with that, thank you very much for coming and appreciate all your comments. And we will be asking many of you to participate with Steve Deal, who's chair of the, not chair, liaison to BGNM, to come up with some solutions. Thank you.